What's up, guys? This week we are back in Brooklyn, but this time we're with the big guys. We're at Kings County Distillery at the Navy Yard, and we are learning all about the distillery that set the groundwork for future distilleries across New York City and a place that specializes in whiskey. So come on in, let's check it out and discover Kings County Distillery. I'm Noëlle Lilley, and this is AM New York Spirit Guides, where we take you to the breweries and distilleries across New York City that keep us spirited. Now we're here in the barrel room at Kings County Distillery with Colin Spoolman. So Colin, first off, tell me, you are the founder, so you've been a part of this process since day one. Mm-hmm. And what has that been like?
Well, I grew up in Kentucky and was always not necessarily interested in whiskey growing up, but after I moved to New York, people would really say, "Oh, you're from Kentucky."
They just make that as the bourbon,
right. So I kind of came to appreciate this. This is my sort of cultural heritage, and that led me to get a still and start distilling in my apartment.
So you're doing it on your own at first?
I was doing it on my own at first, and that is illegal. So. The government says if you want to be a distillery, you have to open a commercial distillery.
Yeah.
So, but also New York State has, around that time, was passing, easing the restrictions on getting a distiller's license and reducing the cost. Yeah. So kind of two things coming together. One, I was getting really interested in making whiskey. And second of all, the state of New York was making it easier for people to become commercial distillers. Mm-hmm. And at that time, there were no other distilleries in Brooklyn, at least not like the craft distilleries that have now kind of surged throughout New York State. I knew that, and that whiskey drinkers would come hopefully from all over and appreciate what we were doing, which was not necessarily to be a New York City distillery, but to be a distillery that could be interesting to people from Kentucky or Scotland or Japan. All of these great whiskey cultures. So we'll go over to the gatehouses, which were built in 1896.
And were the historic entrance to the Navy Yard, which was shipped over to the U.S. Navy from 1801 to 1966.
So we're here now in your tasting room, gonna try your four most popular ones, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So we're going to start with this one, which is the one that people are most sort of afraid of.
Okay. So why? Why is the fear there?
Well, this is our Moonshine.
Okay.
So sometimes that word makes people sort of uneasy or wary.
Yeah.
And I have always loved Moonshine. Growing
and this
up
is a corn whiskey?
This is corn whiskey. And it is really bourbon before it goes in the barrel.
Okay.
So it's white whiskey is sort of the highbrow term for it, but moonshine is the sort of, moonshine can mean any illegally made whiskey or any illegally made spirit, but more commonly the illegal spirit that was being made was just an unaged whiskey.
Okay, got it. I'm gonna go for it, but tell me, what are kind of the flavors you might taste when you have this?
So it's definitely got a corn kind of, but almost like a corn husk, like a grassy.
Okay. I taste that.
Sort of farmy, but very bright, classic, sort of. You wouldn't confuse it for vodka. It's clear, but it has a lot more flavor, a richness, a sort of, just sort of like corn.
Yeah.
Pleasantness, I think.
Okay, yeah. Would this be something that people would usually drink on its own? Is this like a base for other drinks? You shoot this?
I guess I would say you can drink it on its own. It's a little bit like grappa, like a pre-dinner sort of get me started kind of thing.
Yeah.
It works really well in a lot of cocktails that call for tequila.
Okay, cool. Now what's next?
So next we have our straight bourbon. This is our most popular whiskey. This is about half of what we sell. And this is just the moonshine that you just sampled, but this has been aged for now 2 years.
Okay, and so that gives it the color as well when it's aging?
Totally different flavor. Color comes entirely from the barrel.
That is very different.
Very different.
Yes. What is kind of the flavor profile of this one?
So caramel and vanilla are pretty common to a lot of bourbons.
Okay.
You get a little bit of that sort of Christmas spice.
Yeah.
all of which comes exclusively from the barrel. So,
And then this last one, chocolate. I'm excited.
last one is
for
a
this one.
dessert whiskey.
Yes. I'm excited.
So, this is actually an unaged whiskey that we have infused with really the byproduct of a chocolate factory. It's unaged like this one.
Oh, okay.
It starts
Yes,
as this, and then we just add chocolate husks.
Oh.
So it's really the part of the chocolate that gets composted.
The chocolate smell is really
It's
strong.
very
too.
strong,
Oh,
yeah.
I love it.
So it's very bitter. It's like dark chocolate.
Ooh.
So this one is very useful in cocktails, but you can drink it straight after dinner, pour it over ice cream.
I feel like this would be good with like eggnog or like
Yes.
kind of a Christmassy
Yes.
drink too.
Yeah. We have 2 grain silos behind the building that hold 25 tons of corn, which is what we distill most of the year, or rye grain, which we distill to make rye whiskey. That corn will come in to the distillery through those white plastic pipes, and that has an auger inside, and that will drop the corn into the cooker, which is that big, tall steel tank. That cooks the corn into what we call a mash, which is basically a big corn soup. And then we'll add barley, which breaks down some of the starch in the corn and converts it to sugar. So the next step of the process happens in these wooden vats, which is fermentation. So that's yeast consuming sugar and oxygen and makes carbon dioxide and alcohol.
Well, guys, that's it for this week's episode of Spirit Guides here in Brooklyn at Kings County Distillery. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel to find out more about the breweries and distilleries across New York City that keep us well-spirited. I'm Noëlle Lilley with AM New York, and we'll catch you next time.
20% malted barley, and it is